You are tuned to Kennett Cablevision. Thank you for watching. It's time for talk. Each evening at this time, Monday through Friday, Rosemary interviews local personalities and others who bring items of interest to this community. Time for Talk is a community betterment service. Tonight, Rosemary takes us by means of portable camera out of our studios and maybe into your neighborhood. And now, it's time for Talk.
The kind of programs you seem to enjoy, at least the kind that we receive more comments from than any other, are programs that involve historic sketches, things about Dunklin County or the Boot Heel that are old, that take you back into history and give you a little knowledge of the area. We're going to try to do that with this program tonight. We have come out in the colony. Now, I know this as the colony. The younger ones do not know this as the colony, but we are out on the section just at the edge of Kennett. We're on the way toward Holcomb. Independence makes a turn, and this street is called Independence in here. And we have a lady standing here. You see her name on the mailbox, May Pearl Yunt. Is that the way am I saying your last name correctly? Right. And May Pearl is one of the very early people to come into this colony. You bought your house how long ago? Almost 50 years?
Yes, almost 50 years now.
Okay. And you raised how many children here?
Just one little boy. I had two when I moved here.
All right. And so one boy was born here, and he's now how old?
46.
Okay, so you've been early in this. Like, what did this area look like when you moved here?
It didn't have a shade tree or nothing on it, and it had one big high water tank over there at the wash house, they called it. And
a high water tank at the wash house?
Yes, ma'am. It was way in the air.
Well, now, is the wash house still here?
No, they sold out and moved out or done something and built a big church over there.
Okay, now I want to go. In fact, there are many of you who are looking at this tape today who know a lot about the history of the colony, and I wish you would call me and tell me some things. I'm going to find out everything May Pearl knows, but she may not know everything.
I don't know much.
And if you will call and tell me, I know about the history of this. I have understood that it belonged to a Mr. McGee, and it was an orchard. And somehow the government became involved in trying to build this, and you may know about this. I would welcome somebody to call. But now, May Pearl, you all lived, where did you live when you came to the colony?
About 5 miles north of Kennett, up here on a farm. We farmed.
All right. Now, how did you decide you wanted to come to Kennett?
Well, the man that sold the house to us, he was pulling bowls for us, coming out there working for us. And he had a right to sell it.
Now, pulling bowls, for those of you who don't go back very far, is what you do after all the cotton's hand-picked.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go in and you pick those little knotty bowls, and you pull bowls. You don't pick.
Pull them, yes, ma'am.
And you've picked lots of bowls?
Oh,
you
yes,
pull bowls?
Yes, ma'am.
And we pulled when it was a December and so cold?
I've worked on a farm. I've done every kind.
Okay, but now you decided you wanted to move to town.
Well, my brother was in service, and he's sending me his money. So
how much money was he sending you a month?
He was just sending me what he could spare, what he didn't want.
And most months that would amount to?
Well, it amounted to enough that I could pay the down payment on this house.
Okay, now what was the down payment?
$100. I had to send it to Mr. Rogers in St. Louis.
And you sent the down payment to a man in St. Louis.
Yeah,
and all of these houses were here?
Yes, they were occupied.
Okay, and all of them were here, and many have been built since you moved here, right?
Yes.
Okay, it was not nearly...
Some burned, some houses burned down.
Now, you talked to me about a wash house.
Well, they had...
Did you have plumbing and everything indoors here?
No, I didn't have any at all. They just pump outside.
Oh, you didn't have indoor plumbing when you moved here?
Mm-mm.
Did you have indoor toilet?
We had no. We had
you had a little room out and a path?
Yep.
You had 4 rooms and a path?
Yes, that's right.
And so you had a a wash house. Was this central for everybody?
Everybody went there and washed, but my daughter, she went there and washed her clothes. She was in school, and she went there and washed her clothes. I wasn't able to do it.
And it was just down the road?
Right there where that big brick church is, just beyond that house there.
Okay. But it stayed a wash house. And would everybody go? Did you have to make reservations for what day you wanted to work?
I reckon they just...
What was in there?
Just wash tubs.
You mean like number 2 wash tubs, or were there sinks built in?
They was built-in tubs. This woman right here's got one of them.
Who provided those, Rosemary?
And who provided the tubs?
I don't know.
Were they there when you moved in?
Yes.
And you understood when you built your house you could use the tubs?
The house was already here. We just bought it already built.
Okay. Now, do you know anybody in this area that moved in? Somebody had already lived here in your house. Do you know anybody that
No,
lived?
I don't know who lived there. But yes, Mr. Herman Reiniger lived there when him and his wife, and they sent for their $100 back. That's how come we got this house.
Oh, they wanted their $100 back.
Yes,
and what'd they do? Go somewhere else?
They decided they didn't want to buy a house, so they...
And you liked it when you moved in?
Yes, I did.
Okay, now you used the wash house.
No, I didn't use it. My daughter, she went there and washed her clothes.
Well, where'd you wash your clothes?
Well, I washed them there at home. I had a wringer-type washer.
Ah, okay.
I had to heat my water on the stove.
You didn't hit, well, I've carried water and filled the black wash kettle out back. Did you never do that?
I've done that here. Yes, ma'am.
You heated it outside in a wash kettle?
In a wash kettle. Yes, ma'am.
And filled that old Maytag?
Days, wintertime it was, I heated it on the cook stove.
Okay. The colony was not the only place, Delmo, as you would call it, either Delmo or the colony, was not the only place. Dunklin County did not have the only project that went on in this section of the country. In fact, every county had its own project. We are here just out of Pascola, just out of Wardell, here in Pemiscot County, and you see the exact same thing as the colony. You see, it was begun as a low-rent housing by the government, and then the people were allowed to buy their own places. But you see a typical thing here. You see this long, low building that housed the offices. Then you see the washroom. You see the areas that were in common usage by all of the people here. Water was not available, city water was not available, and so one place had all of the washing facilities, much as it was in Kennett. The colony certainly is typical of things that went on in this boot heel of southeast Missouri in the 30s and early 40s. Now, when did you get electricity? I mean, when did you get water into your house?
Oh, it was a long time. I'd lived here a long time before I got water.
Okay, and when you got water?
I was compelled to do that.
Okay, a city ordinance said the outhouses, they got to tear that little brown building down.
They had to go, and we had to put in plumbing.
Now, do you remember, were you sad about this, or were you happy that you had to...
I'd been happy if I'd have been able to done it, but I had a hard time of getting it in.
Okay, so meeting the cost of the plumbing and...
Yes, ma'am,
it
was outrageous. And I had my youngest son was in Slovis in the Navy, and he sent me money.
Okay, so your boys have been helpful about getting your house and getting your plumbing?
Yes, ma'am, they've helped me. Yes, ma'am, they still help me.
Okay, you said one called you the other day when you had a birthday?
Yeah, my oldest son called me. He lives at East Prairie.
And what was, you were telling me, what was his question to you?
Did it feel to be 48 years old?
Oh, 48, yeah, okay. And you're 84 now.
84.
And you told him, did he ask if you had a happy birthday?
Yes. And I told him I was so happy I thought I'd have another this next week.
Did somebody make a cake?
Oh,
you made your own?
They bought me one.
Oh, okay. So you have been here. You have seen water come into every house.
They've run a boat all over my yard. The water was so bad.
When did they run a boat over you?
It's been years back, but water was, there wasn't no drainage, you know, and they got a drainage finally put through here.
Oh, you mean even after you moved in?
Yes.
The drainage was so bad?
It was so bad that we run a boat in my yard. I've got pictures of it.
Okay, and everybody else along here could use a boat pretty well?
Well, it didn't bother everybody the same, but
you always got everybody's water?
I got a lot of it.
Okay, and so
it went through the back.
It came into, I can see the school back here is much higher. The property back there is much higher.
This is what
Okay, but you do not know any of the history behind someone coming in, buying this property, and many people moving in. Did you say from St. Louis, someone out of St. Louis is where you sent the payments?
Mr. Rogers, his name was Rogers, Mr. Rogers.
And you don't remember who he represented or what company came in here and built these?
No, I don't. I sure don't.
How much would you have to send each month?
$8 and something. $7.45.
$7.45 a month
payment.
Was your monthly payment. Now, that wasn't outrageous.
No,
but it was kind of, it
was hard to get.
It was hard to get. Okay, $100 down and $7.45 a month.
Yes.
And you paid for this house.
Yes, ma'am. After we paid so much percent, you know, he come down and give us a right to pay it off. My husband wanted to buy a new car, but I said, well, if you can do that, why don't you pay our house off? So he met us all at the wash house.
Oh, you mean a lot of people wanted to pay their house off?
They wanted to make the...
And so this Mr. Rogers came and met you at the wash house?
We all went there and signed up papers to...
Okay. And you've lived here ever since, and it's a pretty good place to live when they got the water out of your front yard?
That's right. It's a good place to live. I like it here.
Well, we're talking about the colony. Do you know anything about the colony?
Well, I ought to. I've lived out here for 48 years.
All right. You lived here longer than May Pearl?
Yeah.
Did you buy your house from the people who developed this?
Yes, I did.
And how did you get your house? Did you bid on a house?
No, it was the people that first lived here. See, I first lived here when the government built these houses.
Now, why did the government build these houses?
For low rent, for people that lived out on the farm.
Did they go into many towns like this and build these houses?
Yes, they did. They got one at Wardale. And East Prairie, too, I think.
East Prairie, Wardale?
I think so.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, there's one, I know there's one at Wardale.
And you were farming when you heard about these houses for sale?
No, we lived down in the swampland down there below Cruz, and the water got our crop.
Okay. And now what year are we talking about? What year did you move here?
Let's see.
Well, I'm thinking 40 or 41. I don't know exactly.
And you bought the house. Nobody had lived in it?
Oh, yes, somebody lived here. See, I lived over there in that house right straight. See where that gray house is, the next one.
Okay.
That 22. I lived there.
Okay, now they had numbers. Just the houses had numbers, like 21,
yes,
22,
yes, they did.
23.
You have been watching Time for Talk.